High Five Casino.
High Five Casino is a social casino with real prizes and big Vegas hits at highfivecasino.com. The hottest games right from Vegas, and all winnings go straight to your bank account. Hundreds of exclusive games, free daily rewards, and come back to get free coins every 4 hours. Only at highfivecasino.com.
High Five Casino is a social casino. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. Play responsibly. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details at high5casino.com.
High Five Casino.
The following is a high five moment from highfivecasino.com.
I won! Yahoo! Private, put down your phone. This is the Army.
Sarge, High Five Casino is a social casino. It's on your phone. Goes wherever you go. I win free spins, cash, prizes, free daily rewards, over 1,200 games. I won again.
Platoon, present cell phone. High Five.
High Five.
Casino.
Casino.
Win at highfivecasino.com.
High Five Casino is a social casino. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. Play responsibly. Conditions apply. See website for details.
High Five Casino.
In the spirit of reconciliation, the Theatre Thoughts podcast acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all traditional custodians of the land on which our episodes are recorded.
That is a really interesting story, actually. Luke and Kieran had been sort of talking about a venue that they really wanted to open for a while. They've been so dedicated to, Luke has been working in theatre for about a decade now in Sydney, and Kieran's been working in the hospitality industry most of his
worked with
life.
a couple of venues, hasn't he?
Yeah, yes, many venues across Sydney, and also has a background in acting and in theatre. So I think they've been tossing that about for, about 8 years, 8 to 12 years of sort of, what would be cool if we did this, and we could do that. And then I won't lie, I did go out on a relatively drunken night with Kieran one night, and I was like, oh yeah, what a brilliant idea. Yeah. And 3 weeks later we were looking at the venue that Meraki now stands in.
You're listening to the Theatre Thoughts podcast. If you're a new listener, welcome to the podcast. If you're one of our returning listeners, welcome back to a brand new episode. You can watch a snippet of this week's episode via our YouTube channel or subscribe to our Patreon for $5 a month to get access to the full video, a patron shout-out and earlier access to our episodes. Or if you're stretched on a budget, become a supporter for as little as $3 a month. If you're a fan of the podcast, please leave us a review wherever you're listening from. Share us on your socials. Tell your friends at the theatre. Stop to tell a stranger on the street. Or just be that annoying friend who shares all the best recommendations. You can find all of our content via our Instagram channel at ttpod_official or by following the link in this episode's description. So switch on those thoughts and be sure to subscribe to catch all our new content in 2023. Welcome everyone to a new episode of the Theatre Thoughts podcast. I have a very special guest who I've recently befriended, which has been great to get to know her. She is an award-winning Cypriot-Australian director for theatre and film, currently based in between London and Australia. In 2022, I managed to see her Australian premiere production of Labyrinth, which I will rave about at some point in this episode. She's a co-artistic director of Meraki Arts Bar, which is a 3-level arts venue in Sydney, which we'll also talk about. Most recently, she was awarded the prestigious Sandra Bates Directors Award at Ensemble Theatre. She's also an activist with a particular focus on gender equality and climate change. Her production company, Queen Hades Productions, works to find the intersections between activism and art. Please welcome Margaret Thanos. Welcome.
Thank you. You said you were going to do that. And then I was like, oh, yeah, that's nice. And then it was actually very nice.
Oh, good. Excellent. It's always, I never know how people are going to feel with it. So some people are kind of just sitting there, just like, oh, what do I do? What do I do?
Yeah, I was like, I'll smile and nod.
That is me. It's so great to have you on the podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, no, I was, it's really weird how I kind of got to know you because obviously I went went and saw Labyrinth.
Yes.
And then I think I bumped into you at Darlinghurst, didn't I?
Yes, we did bump into each other very briefly, like 3 days before I left for London.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and someone was like, "Oh, this is Margaret. She directed a show at Flight Path Theatre." I was like, "Was it Labyrinth?" She said, yes, it was. And I was like, "Oh my god!" And then it's just kind of gone from there.
Yeah. No, it's been wonderful meeting you.
And you're back in Australia because you're between London and Sydney right now.
Yeah. I'm actually heading back in like 8 days.
So cool.
So yeah, but coming back later in the year, so it's all back and forth.
Yeah. So what exactly are you doing over there? Are you just kind of like finding routes, or are you like making opportunities?
Yeah, finding roots. I think trying to develop my skills, really explore what inspires me as an artist, and when I'm sort of removed from the social situations and things in Sydney, like what do I gravitate towards? I think I've been trying to answer like big questions around stage or screen and what my voice is, on screen as a director, and trying to figure that out. So sort of seeking inspiration, I guess is how I would describe it at the moment. But yeah, also doing a bit of work here and there as well.
That's great.
Yeah.
And how are you finding London?
Incredible. Everyone's asked me that. I've been in Sydney for like 3 weeks, and literally every single person has asked me about that.
I love London.
Me too. I think there is so much going on there, and so much variety in art form that you can find. I keep saying, like, it's not the difference in necessarily the quality of art more than it is the quality of the audience. There's just something about London audiences. They love their art, and they really like eat it up. And there's so many people going to see so many shows every single day of the week. I went to like a 2 p.m. matinee a few weeks ago for a show, and the audience is standing and clapping, and it's a Thursday at 2 p.m. And I'm like,
who
what
does
the hell? So no, lots of fun. I feel like I'm having too good of a time. I'm like, oh, I shouldn't be having so much fun.
I always think about going back because I went over there for 3 years. I didn't live in London. I lived in Essex. But every single weekend I was in London, like seeing some sort of show, walking the West End. And you're right, there's so many different types of theatres as well, because obviously they're so spread out. It's got that district, and you can just see whatever you want.
No, absolutely. I think like South Bank. Where you've got the National on one side and the BFI on the other. That is my home. It is literally where I am.
And because I'm a big nerd, I walk straight down to the Globe every time, and I just go, Bill, and then I walk back.
I feel like I always stand right between the National and the BFI, and I'm like, oh, which one today? Which one today?
Well, speaking of that, so you're mainly a director at the moment. Do you consider yourself more like a director or an actor, or are you kind of like you don't really put a label on it?
I started in acting. I did acting from when I was 7 all the way through to when I was 17, and that's when I directed my very first show, which was The Goat, or Who is Sylvia, by Edward Albee. I think the way I describe it now is I am a director. I'm a career director. I do that across stage and screen, but I still do perform because I think it's a really great grounding tool for directors. I think there's something very humbling about having to do the weird audition where you have to like look at an object and then look at the screen and do those kinds of things. And I think there's something so humbling about that all directors should experience at least once in their lives.
I agree. I always like one of my friends is kind of the bit of both, and I saw him in the Crucible recently, and I was like, I said to him afterwards, I went, I really appreciate that you were good, because it makes it amps you up to be like a good director as well, like a director that just talks, but then they can't actually like do the acting themselves. I'm like, oh, you kind of need to see it from that angle, like, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, I think I have a lot of thoughts and opinions in general.
No, it's great.
So I'm really meant to be a director. I think I was a bit too much of a I have opinions as an actor. But yeah, I think it's also just nice not to be in charge all the time as well. So
just
acting is such a joy and such an important part, I think, of the way that my process is structured as a director, really thinking about it from the actor's perspective. But I mostly describe myself as a director these days.
Excellent. So I want to talk about Labyrinth for a second, which I saw last year. Which I loved. It was great. And it was because in Flight Path Theatre, which I only recently have become familiar with since moving to Sydney, I was like, first of all, I was embarrassing, and I went, wonder why is it called the Flight Path Theatre? And I sat in there and went, oh, that's why it's Flight Path Theatre. And then it's a very black box space, very small. You have to be very particular about what you want to do and how you want to do it. And Labyrinth felt like a big stage show on a small stage, which is the exact same reason why I love The Haze. Because everything you directed in there was like big stage. But you did it in such a way that it didn't feel messy or cramped, which I thought was very, very clever.
Yeah, that space is so specific. It's such a specific space because it's got audience on two sides and it's an uneven diagonal.
It is
so
uneven, isn't it?
You have to direct on the diagonal, but the diagonal isn't even.
Yeah.
And I sat, I think, in every physically possible seat.
I love that.
I saw the show every night because I was really trying to understand the space and be like, how do you direct for this space, you know, when you've got this sort of uneven diagonal going on? But yeah, no, I thought about that space, obviously, the whole time that I was doing it and the whole time that I was coming up with my vision for it. And yeah, I think big stage productions really are my bread and butter. So I'm very glad to have had the opportunity to direct Labyrinth. It was such a great experience.
Yeah, it was awesome. And you had that real, like, The Big Short sort of feel to it as
Big
well.
Big Short, Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
Any, you know, the Lehman trilogy, any of those big finance ways, I think you can sort of make a comparison between those narratives and Labyrinth. What I really loved about Labyrinth was its surreal elements. It really goes into a bit of a wacky space towards the second half of the show. And that's something that I always look for in a show. I'm not really interested in the sort of straight drama or the straight kind of completely realistic perspective on life. So surrealism is also something that I always look for in a script. Yeah,
that's great. And then that led you on, I'm not saying that particular production, but you did go on to win, like I said, the Sandra Bates Directors Award at Ensemble Theatre, which is amazing.
So grateful for Ensemble for giving me that prestigious award. I really appreciate them recognising. They came to Labyrinth, which was so wonderful, especially to have main stage companies coming and, you know, to the back corners of Marrickville at a flight path venue. I'm really grateful for them recognising all of the hard work that went into the show. I think we did like 250 hours of rehearsal for that show. And 10 weeks of rehearsal we did, and 12 actors. So so much, lots of choreography.
Lots of coordination there.
Coordination, lots of sweat from the actors, blood, sweat and tears, as they say. Super excited for everything coming up with them.
Yeah, and I know you can't tell me what you're doing with Ensemble, but is it kind of in the works?
Yeah, it is in the works. I actually can tell you, I think.
If you can't, I'll cut it.
I can. I'm pretty sure it's on the website. So I'm going to be assistant directing with Ensemble Benefactors, which is by Michael Frayn, and going to be directed by Mark Kilmurray, which is later this year. And then right after that, Mr. Bailey's Minder, which will be directed by Damien Ryan.
Right.
So, very lucky to be assistant directing for those two legends of the Sydney theatre world.
Wow.
Going to learn so much. They're much more intimate plays, which I'm quite excited for because it's not something I normally gravitate towards. So I think that's a whole skill set that hopefully I'll be able to learn from such experienced directors. I think I remember saying in my interview when I was going up for the award, you know, it's just, there's not that much chance to really learn from super veteran directors, and I really wanted to learn from those two. So so grateful.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
The following is a high five moment from highfivecasino.com.
I won! Yahoo!
Private, put down your phone. This is the Army.
Sarge, High Five Casino is a social casino. It's on your phone, goes wherever you go. I win free spins, cash, prizes, free daily rewards, over 1,200 games. I won again!
Platoon, present cell phone. High five. High five. Casino. Win at highfivecasino.com.
High Five Casino is a social casino. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. Play responsibly. Conditions apply. See website for details.
High Five Casino.
The following is a high five moment from highfivecasino.com.
Welcome to Burger Yippee. Would you like a hot apple pie today?
Yes, yeah, I won! Woohoo!
So that's a yes on the apple pie?
I just went big time playing High Five Casino on my phone. Real cash prizes, free daily rewards, over 1,200 games. Yeah!
So yes or no on the apple pie?
Whoa! I won again!
I'll take that as a yes. Drive around.
Have you had your high five moment today? Only at highfivecasino.com.
High Five Casino is a social casino. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. Play responsibly. Conditions apply. See website for details.
High Five Casino.
And so where did Meraki come into play? Because now, if I don't get this wrong, that's working with Kieran.
Yeah,
yes. Who was actually a year or 2 years above me at uni. That's
wow,
how I know him. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So there's 4 of us that own the business in total. Kieran Took, Luke Holmes, and Bertie Buckman, as well as myself. And that is a really interesting story, actually. Luke and Kieran had been sort of talking about a venue that they really wanted to open for a while. They've been so dedicated to Luke has been working in theatre for about a decade now in Sydney, and Kieran's been working in the hospitality industry.
Yeah,
most
he's
of his
worked
life.
with a couple of venues, hasn't he?
Yeah, yes, many venues across Sydney, and also has a background in acting and in theatre. So I think they've been tossing that about for about 8 years, 8 to 12 years of sort of what would be cool if we did this, and we could do that. And then I won't lie, I did go out on a relatively drunken night with Kieran one night, and I was like, oh yeah, what a brilliant idea. And 3 weeks later we were looking at the venue that Meraki now stands in.
Wow.
So
that's quick.
So yeah, very quick. We started, I think we got the keys at the end of June in 2022.
Wow.
And we opened in October. It's a 3-level space, which on the bottom level has an art gallery and a bar. The second level has a sort of live music vaudeville type performance space and a bar. And then the third level has a 50-seat black box theatre and a bar.
Excellent. Good.
So yeah, super proud of everything that we've been able to do with this space. It's on Oxford Street. We're right in the middle of World Pride right now. And we've been having such a great time at Mardi Gras, really enjoying that part of the city sort of revive itself.
It must have
and
been
come
so
to life.
busy down there.
So busy. Yeah, I was walking along the other night and there was the big free concert that the Veronicas were doing. And yeah, it was just hectic along the whole street. So it's been really brilliant to watch it sort of flourish through this time period and to support so many artists. I think we've had more than 150 artists in the space already since October.
That's massive.
Yeah, we have 10 shows a week across the first 2 levels and then 5 theatre shows, like one every night. So much going on all the time. I think the concept was, really to intermingle these different art forms with each other and get the arts community having a hub in the city and also get them talking to each other. I think there's so much we can learn. I personally, from programming all of the art on the second level, have learned so much about burlesque and live music and cabaret and those kinds of art forms that as a theatre and film person I haven't typically engaged in that much previously. So I think there's so much that we can learn from each other and we should be talking to each other. So yeah.
That's so cool. I love it. It's a great venue and the food was great.
Oh, thank you.
What did I have? I think me and my friend shared a thing of the loaded fries and I was like, oh, this is great.
Yeah. And I think Luke and Bertie and Kieran have been working really, really hard to make the drinks incredible. We have like a rotating cocktail menu that rotates every single week and they come up with 6 new cocktails every single week, which is one of my favorite parts of the venue because I think they really get to have their creative fill on the hospitality side as well as us on the art side having our creative juices flowing, I suppose. One of our most popular shows every Saturday night from 9:30 is live karaoke, which is where the incredible Jonathan Holmes comes in and plays with a band and you get to pick a song and sing along.
That's
and
cool.
It's packed to the rafters every single week. So
I'm going to have to come down to that because I realise how quick it is to get to Darlinghurst from a new place. So I'm quickly becoming down there.
Absolutely, yeah. It's just something for everyone.
Running a small business? Are you promoting a new show or running a theatre space? Maybe you're looking for an area to reach potential new clients. Why not advertise with us on the Theatre Thoughts podcast? We have a range of packages and prices for you to put your ad right here on the podcast. For more information, contact us at theatrethoughtsteam@outlook.com or by heading to our website, theatrethoughtsaus.online. Cool. Well, so we covered Meraki, we've covered you as a director, but let's talk now about Queen Hades production.
Yes, Queen Hades. So Queen Hades actually started before Meraki because part of my ethos as a person really is that all art is meaningful, and I do a lot of activism work around my art schedule. It's kind of like my hobby, I guess.
Yeah.
It's something that I'm really passionate about. I come from quite a political family, and there's lots of history there with engaging in that side of society and that side of the world. So, yeah, really sort of got into creating art that really does have a purpose. Issue-based theatre, I guess, is the best way to talk about it. Currently, we've got sort of a recurring show, female comedic sketch show called Tough Titties, which has had many sold-out runs all around the place at Factory Theatre and at KXT, and hoping to sort of start touring that very soon. Stay tuned. But yeah, have been very, very lucky to use that production company to create both stage and screen work, and to really invest in shows that I believe do good for society and fill maybe gaps that I see not being filled in terms of content and in terms of issues being discussed, because I do think sometimes we have a tendency to sort of I don't know, talk about the same things. I think there's lots of always waves of like, and we're all talking about this now, and now we're all talking about this now, and I think I always try to see what aren't we talking about and why aren't we talking about it, and try and veer us in that direction a little bit. So yeah, no, I'm really hoping to launch it in London very soon, with a sort of rebrand. We've been going through a big rebrand at the moment, which has been such an exciting process.
I love a good rebrand.
It's so exciting. Like I think when I first started it, I made like the graphics on Canva or something. And I was sort of like, yeah, that seems about right. But I think since we've been operating for over a year now, and I think we've learned so much about what the company is and who it's for, and that's really informed the way that the new look is going to happen, and all the website stuff and everything is going to be very schmick and beautiful. So very excited about that.
That's great. And so you said that you did some films with Queen Hades production. So is that what you've been working on recently, or is this another pie that your finger's in?
Another pie that my finger's in. That's what everyone always says to me. No, so last year we shot a film called Through the Window They Came, which is about trolling, online trolling. I became quite obsessed with it during the 2021 lockdown. When I was working for Plan International as one of their ambassadors, we were looking at online safety and how big of an issue it actually is, specifically in Australia. And I just, sort of became obsessed. I had a bit of an experience where I gave an interview to ABC about my experience with getting vaccinated for COVID. And they posted this article about me, and within a couple of hours I had to shut off all the comments from the posts that they put on their Facebook because of how volatile it was becoming, and like people were sort of sliding into my Instagram DMs because I've got public profiles and everything, because I'm an artist, and that's how things work these days. So yeah, it was sort of from that, because I just remember sitting there in my boyfriend's apartment staring at my screen, just unable to look away from all of the sort of lighthearted jokes, but also really serious comments that were coming through. And since then have sort of become quite expertised, I suppose, in that field, in that area of online safety, and how we could actually be making improvements to online safety, not just for Australians, but across the globe, because there's a lot of issues with privilege and things like that come into internet safety. And for a lot of people, particularly young women, gender diverse people from minorities, internet safety can actually mean a danger to their real life experiences. There
kind of goes beyond the screen.
Horrible stories about domestic violence that extends into the digital space, and how that leads women to escape their homes, need to isolate themselves from their communities, all sorts of things like that I think not a lot of people talk about, actually. Australia is one of the world leaders when it comes to online safety and things like that. But yeah, anyway, so Through the Window They Came is about a young man who becomes radicalized, but he has a queer girlfriend, and how their relationship changes as he becomes sort of radicalized by the alt-right online, and how she sort of has to try and escape that.
That sounds fascinating.
Thank you.
So I was just like really captivated for a moment. I kind of have to like readjust myself. That was captivating.
Yeah. So we're currently in post-production for that one. It's been taking a while because there's lots of digital stuff that goes into the film, lots of texting, and trying to utilize the digital space as a medium for storytelling on screen. And so we're still in post-production, and hopefully that film and one of the other films that I literally wrapped yesterday will be on the festival circuit in 2024.
Wow, amazing. Well, watch out for it.
Yeah, hopefully.
So I guess it's a bit of a tough question, but where did like your passion for activism come from? You mentioned before that you had a passionate family. Like, did it come from them, or it was like through your experiences?
Yeah, I think my family's experiences with politics and with engaging in that space has really informed my sense of social justice. My father was a big advocate for multiculturalism in Australia, contributed to that very, very greatly for a long time. He was actually telling me a story of how one of the big names in the anti-multicultural movement once compared my dad to Hitler for wanting more multicultural people in Australia, which makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, it's a bit of a leap.
He was literally telling me that 2 days ago. But I think, my sense of social justice has been really developed by that. And I think from that, I just have this real need to help people. I think it's one of my favorite things in the world is to help others. I kind of get my kick out of that by, I have a bit of a reputation around town for inspiring people to quit their day jobs and pursue theatre. I have done that with many a person.
Well, I better stop talking because it's crossed my mind recently, and if we keep talking,
you better stop talking to me. Yes, I do have a bit of a reputation for it because I'm always like, let's do it. As you know, the story about Meraki really does suggest I'm sort of a bit of a yes man. I really believe in that there is room for everyone in this industry because I think the more people that are doing it, the more opportunities we'll create, and it's sort of a flow-on effect. I really try and fight against. I think I grew up because I knew from so young that I was going to go into this industry. I grew up with the constant, what's your plan B? What's your backup? All of that, and I just can't describe how much I believe that no one needs backup. So I think that it's been really fulfilling to be able to help others sort of find their creative journey, whether that be quitting their day job or even just finding creativity outside of the around the parameters of their 9-to-5 life, because there is nothing wrong with the 9-to-5.
Exactly.
And for all my friends who are in the 9-to-5, I want you all to know that I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Nothing wrong with it.
But I do also, just really think that everyone has the capacity to be creative, whether it's for an audience or for themselves. I think it's a really important part of being human. Amazing.
Yeah, I can tell because you speak about it with such passion. So it's very clear that you do care about it,
Yeah, I really do. Do not talk to me if you are on the edge of quitting your day job, because I will convince you with all of my might.
Well, change of pace. Did you want to do our 1 minute theatre thoughts?
Yes, I would love to.
Okay, cool. What's been your favourite production you've seen?
Golem, which was a production that came to Sydney with Sydney Theatre Company many years ago and really showed me what theatre could be.
Ooh. What's your karaoke song?
Gimme, Gimme, Gimme by ABBA.
Yes! With the moves, I hope.
Of course.
What show would be a dream show to direct?
Chicago.
Oh, I love Chicago. Okay. Who inspired you as a young performer?
It's a bit cliche, but Meryl Streep and Viola Davis.
Great answers. Who inspires you now?
Boots Riley, Oprah Winfrey, Shonda Rhimes, and David Fincher.
Ooh, and last one. Which production would you most want to see come to Australia?
Ooh, that's a really interesting question. At the moment, probably Life of Pi.
Oh, yeah. That's a great production. Apparently it's going great guns overseas.
It's brilliant, yeah. I have actually seen it.
Did you?
But I think that it should come to Australia. It's so great. Yeah.
Well, that's our 1 minute.
Amazing.
I think it was. I kind of lost track of it there. Yeah. I would love Hadestown to come.
Yeah, I haven't actually caught Hadestown because it's not on in London.
No. When I'm going over there in August because I'm going to hopefully cover the Fringe.
Incredible.
And the one I want to see is Back to the Future, just because I'm a massive Back to the Future fan.
Has seen that twice.
Oh, has he?
I really need to go see it because he's like, you got to see it.
Well, that's a good sign then. If you've seen it twice, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you so much, Margaret, for joining us. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I've been chatting with you for ages and finally getting you in. It just was spur of the moment. I was like, I need to ask her. It's been on my mind, so I got to ask her to come in.
No, thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed talking to you.
Yeah, and have a great trip back to London.
Thank you. The 27-hour flight will be
long
long
makes me sick.
and boring.
Excellent. And we'll hope to see you back in Sydney.
In May, very soon.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
thank you so much to Margaret Thanos for joining us as our guest on the podcast. For more information on Meraki Arts Bar and Queen Hades Productions, check the show notes. This episode was produced by Echidna Audio. Follow them on Instagram at Echidna Audio for all their audio services. Once again, if you enjoyed our podcast, leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts and head to the link in this episode's description for our Instagram account, TikTok, YouTube, and Patreon. My name's Justin Clarke, and I'll see you next time here on the Theatre Thoughts Podcast.
Have you ever wondered how your favorite performer actually feels? Well, here's your chance. Welcome to The Quiet Part Out Loud with me, Bobby Steggert, Broadway actor and now a therapist to a whole host of Broadway creatives. Part interview, part therapy, this is not your typical podcast. We'll go right to the heart of things with some of your favorite artists, what they still struggle with, what lessons they've learned, what they haven't figured out yet. There's enormous power in saying the quiet part out loud. Are you listening?
The following is a high five moment from highfivecasino.com.
Welcome to Burger Yippee. Would you like a hot apple pie today?
Yes, yeah, I won! Woohoo!
So that's a yes on the apple pie?
I just went big time playing High Five Casino on my phone. Real cash prizes, free daily rewards, over 1,200 games. Yeah!
So yes or no on the apple pie?
Whoa! I won again!
I'll take that as a yes. Drive around.
Have you had your high five moment today? Only at highfivecasino.com.
High Five Casino is a social casino. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. Play responsibly. Conditions apply. See website for details.
High Five Casino.